Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Q&A, live Q&A session. My name is Diane Willock. I'm the customer success coach here with Supermums in the US. And again, I am joined by Maria Stanford, our customer success coach in the UK. And today we're just going to talk about our top tips for relaunching your career with confidence and overcoming anxiety. I know that if you're starting your new career, or if you're getting back into a career, you're going to have probably some confidence issues and may cause some stress and anxiety. So we talk about this all the time with individuals that we coach. So we have some great tips for you that come to mind. I don't know if you want to start, Maria. Just talk about maybe what's one of your top tips to kind of overcome that anxiety and launch your career with confidence.
Yeah, I think firstly, it's very nice to have you back.
Yes.
I'm not flying solo anymore, which I'm very, very pleased about.
Nice to be here.
So certainly around kind of, I think there's two aspects to that. There's that kind of that start and that relaunch of that training, which can bring around anxiety and doubts. And then it's like that next stage is relaunching your career and actually taking those first steps, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think both of those areas, certainly when we speak to people, they are really highlighted around that kind of anxiety. Can I do this? Oh, who am I to be going and doing this? How am I going to land that first role? It's kind of like all of these kind of questions. And it is that kind of imposter syndrome, isn't it, that kind of creeps up on us. So certainly, my top tip is, one of them anyway, is about confidence, because it is a skill.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be so hard on yourself. Every new level, there's a new devil that you have to tackle.
Right.
And actually starting to build that confidence is really key. And you can actually do that by gathering a bank of evidence. So go back, if you've had your mentor that's given you a really good reference, if you've had a colleague or a friend say something really nice about you, go and, bank that as evidence, get them to write it down for you. And then you can go back and review that. So when that first next step becomes a bit daunting and you're feeling a bit anxious about it, you can go back and look at all of these wonderful things that people have said about you, because sometimes we don't feel that ourselves, do we?
No, I think we're hardest on ourselves. That's the thing. Yeah. It's important to remember that, we tend to give other people credit, right? But not ourselves. Yeah. So I like what you said about that, because one of my tips was to go back and take a look at, what you have accomplished thus far in your career or in your experiences, and give yourself some credit for what you've done. That always helps to build your confidence. But the issue is that we never seem to do that. We don't take stock in what we've done. We don't recognize our accomplishments. We don't recognize how far we've grown. Again, talking about training, if you've learned a new skill this year, or maybe there's a goal that you set for yourself that you've accomplished, even in your personal life. If you go back over that and take a look at that, I think that's a great way to build your confidence. But it is about, going back to recognize that, right? And giving yourself that credit, because we always look at other people and think, wow, they're doing just a great job. I really wish I could be doing that, but we don't give ourselves enough credit. So really it's about taking that step back, giving yourself that credit. That builds your confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think you've made a really, really good point there, actually, because when we start to build that confidence and that skill, and our confidence then starts to rise, our strengths that have taken us to do that become less obvious, because we're doing them automatically. So actually going back and looking at those successes is really important, because you kind of think, oh, I just done this, or I just done this. It's kind of nothing. But actually, because it's a strength and you don't recognize it, because it was probably then become easier and easier and easier.
Right.
You have to actually go back, don't you, and unpick that a little bit to actually go, oh, I've actually done that. And I'm really proud of that, because it took X, Y, Z to do it. So I think sometimes we can kind of dismiss what our strengths are.
Right. It's hard to recognize our own strengths, Yeah. So I'm a big proponent too about, as you're going along, and maybe for, future reference, to kind of help with that confidence and that anxiety, is to keep track of those, keep track of what you've accomplished and what you've done, and realize that there is that curve, that learning curve. We all want to start off in something new, feeling like we're the expert right away, because that makes us feel good. We want to know everything right away, but there's always a learning curve and curve. And so it's hard to recognize when you're in that kind of down cycle before you start, having that trajectory up in that growth. It's hard to realize that, that you might be at that point where you need a little bit more time, And so if we go back and take a look at it, we realize, okay, I started off here, but I've actually grown a lot since that point. And that'll make you, feel a little bit more confident with where you're at right now.
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant tip, actually, because it's about that reflection, isn't it? Say, for example, I know with our Supermums, when they start day one, they kind of think, oh my goodness, this is really it. I've got to go and do it. Actually, when they, after 20 weeks and you start to reflect back and you kind of think, I don't think I could do it then, but look how far I've come. And so, it is about having that reflection piece, isn't it? And actually taking some time to appreciate actually all of that hard work that you've put into that career change to get you to that moment.
Right. And if you're moving into a new career, think of it that way too. Think about how much you've accomplished in your whatever experience you've had, even in your personal life, and lean on your support network too. Not everybody, make sure that you have a good support network, but lean on the people that are really there for you. Excuse me, really there for you. And can, give you that confidence booster. Everybody has a friend or a family member, somebody they go to that's kind of like their cheerleader, right? They can tell them you're doing a great job. You're really accomplishing a lot. So if you have somebody like that in your life, talk to them, have them be your support for that time when you're feeling a little bit less confident and you need a little bit of a boost. They can be there for you during that time.
Yeah, your circle is important, isn't it? To kind of build that confidence. And then I would kind of say again, on the other side of that, on the flip side of that, is your network. So yes, your inner circle that's going to give you that's going to give you all of that confidence and will tell you the truth, because we do need some truth tellers, don't we, when we're kind of being a bit hard on ourselves to okay, come on, this is where you need to be. But actually the network that you're building around you by way of LinkedIn or those connections when you're networking, I think I don't like comparison, because I think, that can be a real kind of joy thief sometimes, can't it? But actually, when we look to people who have already landed those roles and we start to look at them and see what they've done and, their journey, they can help to pull you forward, can't they? And they can help to kind of, if they can do it, I can do it.
Right. So that's right. I think that's a good point. Inspiration, right? Looking to somebody who's an inspiration to you and finding out their story. We always love to hear that here at Supermums. As coaches, we get to see and hear about the stories of where our trainees started from and how much they've been able to accomplish. So looking for that inspirational person that has been able to accomplish that and do that makes you think like you can do it. I've heard that before. You've probably heard that before. Yeah. I've heard individuals that have told me, I didn't, think that this was possible. But I know someone that did it and they've told me about, the program, about the training program. And I think that I could do it too. So really, finding that inspiration can help you with that confidence and realize, again, it's about giving yourself a break. I like to, you really have to give yourself some leniency and forgive yourself. Not everything's going to come easy, but you'll be able to get through it. And when you do, you'll understand how much, how far you've come. So I think, about giving yourself a break, leaning on your support, finding that inspiration, and also, again, taking stock of what you have accomplished up to this point. Those are all really good tips, I think, to help you, build that confidence and overcome the anxiety. There's still going to be anxiety, right?
There's still anxiety, of course. And, it can be really fearful, can't it? I actually spoke to somebody this week and they were really fearful about taking that first step on LinkedIn, for example, taking that first link of putting themselves out there and being visible. But they've done it anyway. Right. And they've actually reaped the rewards from that because they've actually landed a role.
That's a great, that's a great story.
Just taking that very first step and, everything, you're not going to be able to get rid of that anxiety and fear because everything's new. But what you can do is you can start to journal around that. What am I fearful of? What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah, I like that when you say that, because that's what I bring up to individuals too. I say, okay, so if you sit here and do nothing.
Yeah.
what is that going to accomplish for you? If you put yourself out there, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Exactly.
And so it's almost like, you sometimes have to take that leap. It's not always easy for everyone to do because it's going out of their comfort zone, but staying as status quo and not doing anything is only going to hurt you, versus if you step out of that comfort zone, it could really help you.
Yeah.
So I think that you think of it that way. And the other thing is too, we tend to worry too much about what others see of us and what others are thinking of us. And I guarantee you put that post out on LinkedIn, the people that are going to recognize it are people that are looking for that inspiration. They're looking for you. And then everybody else is just going to be like, oh, that's great. She put a nice post out. It's not going to come to the top of their mind, and they're going to be thinking all these things and about you. So really, we tend to put too much weight on that, I think, is what others are seeing and thinking of us. The reason to put that out there is that, you might come across that person that's going to give you a chance and reach out to you for a job or for a role, or connect with you and network with you. All the others are going to be like, oh, great. She's got a nice post out there. That's great.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly it.
Not as big as you think it is.
No.
It is what our minds make it out to be,
Yeah. And that's it. And that's that imposter syndrome, isn't it? Of kind of thinking, who am I to put a post out here? Who am I to put that I'm, that I've trained and I've done this and X, Y, and Z, because we feel like we have to be the experts in something, don't we? Because otherwise then we feel a bit vulnerable. But actually it's that vulnerability, and it's that kind of taking that next step and not worrying too much about what the outcome is. When we hang ourselves on what the outcome is, that's where you kind of get that, but actually if you're not worried too much about the outcome and just enjoy that ride and just kind of think, I'm going to do it anyway, then you just never know what, what's going to come off the back of it.
And that's, I think probably there's so many situations where that's happened. I did this and you won't believe what happened because of it. Something good came of that. And it's about having that, we talk about this a lot, to that growth mindset, or that static mindset. The static mindset is thinking one way and thinking, that what's going to happen, where that growth mindset is, looking to grow from your experience and constantly realizing that, you're not sure what's going to happen next. So you don't want to have that static mindset. You don't want to have a set way about thinking about something. You want to have that growth mindset. So that's an important part of it. And I know we're running short on time. We haven't had any comments or questions, but we're always here to answer any questions because we are both coaches. We talk to individuals all the time about these type of issues and relaunching their career. We have so many individuals at Supermums, right, that have relaunched their career just through training with our program in Salesforce. And it takes a while. We talk to them about that confidence and overcoming that anxiety. But then we are grateful that we get to see their successes as well after they've done that. So it's really wonderful. So please reach out to us if you have any questions about our training courses. You want to start off 2023 in a new direction. We'd love to help you and talk to you about what your options might be for training and learning Salesforce. You can reach out to us here on LinkedIn, or send us an email at diane@supermums.org or maria@supermums.org, or just simply put a comment on LinkedIn and our Facebook, and we'd love to get back to you.
Absolutely. What a brilliant way to be able to kickstart 2023.
Yep. Right. Exactly. Can you believe it's going to be 2023? That's the other.
It's fast approaching, isn't it? It's scary when you say it, isn't it? But it is coming for us very quickly now. So
right, exactly. So so if you're ready to make that change, definitely reach out to us, and we'd love to talk to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Diane. Brilliant tips there.
Thanks, Maria. Talk to you soon. All right, bye everybody. Oh, look at that. It came up on our